Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're all doing good and well. So in tonight's album review, I'm reviewing the 11th studio album from the symphonic death metal band Septicflesh and their release Modern Primitive, which came out today via Nuclear Blast, and the album is 9 tracks and it's 38 minutes in length. And I always think a great challenge for symphonic metal bands generally is that, you have two great forces of nature coming together. Those forces of nature being classical music and it's kind of smooth flowing sound, still very loud, but that coming together with a noisier, often more abrasive heavy metal, and in this case death metal. So I think what Septicflesh have pulled off really well is actually bringing those two forces of nature together quite well for this album. And in a sense, the two don't feel like they're working against each other. With a lot of symphonic metal, I sometimes find that one is kind of slightly drowning out the other, and therefore an album can feel a bit imbalanced. But I think for this release, Septicflesh have got this pretty much spot on for the production end, that the classical elements, like the beautifully arranged classical vocal moments in this album and the nice supporting violin string sections, all that sort of stuff, is very well incorporated into that overall sound and production on this album. So I'd say, first of all, that's a positive to start with for this latest release from Septicflesh. And let's go into some of the tracks now that I really quite enjoyed from this release. I mean, to start with, we had a really strong track with the Collector, which I think kind of demonstrates what I was just saying. I mean, it starts off with quite an Eastern instrumentation section, actually, before it builds into those heavier moments. And you have that awesome final closing riff, which almost feels like it ends a little abruptly for me. I thought they could have carried on with something a bit more with the opening track, but it was a great way to open the album and to really sort of say, well, this is us putting our foot down. You need a good album opener to begin this one, and here it is with the Collector, a great track to start off the album with. I really liked Hierophant, the next track. It kind of had the feel of, really cinematic, the classical part in this, classical sort of bars in this track in particular made me think a lot of a film. It's kind of feel they had a filmic qualities, like you were witnessing an execution or something terrible. It was that really sinister combination of those, that sort of rising orchestral section against the, the heavy and the, heavy crushing guitar parts as well, but working well together in this track. And so the album continues a strong start, and I liked Self-Eater quite a bit as well, even though that one was a little bit odd. I thought there were moments where it didn't feel quite so beautifully flowing from start to finish, a little more jagged. I still quite liked Self-Eater quite a bit. Neuromancer was a fantastic single, if I can say that, with beautiful switches between acoustic and electric sections on that one. I really liked Coming Storm, actually. It was a bit more unusual, and this was where they really challenged. I thought this was a much more ambitious track, with that clash of classical and heavy metal really coming together. Sorry, I should say death metal, but the classical and death metal coming together and really colliding. But it worked quite well, particularly, I thought, for the theme of that track, and that mostly it was pulled off pretty well. Really liked the little choral vocal moments in Coming Storm as well. And it really did feel like, as I say, there was a bit of a coming storm with this track. Liked Modern Primitives a lot. I mean, that might be my favourite track on the album. And again, my only slight minor criticism of this track as well, like it was, I think, with the opening track, was it felt like it finished all too abruptly. This track felt like it was, great, and sure, it's great still as the shortest track. Most of the tracks on here are about 4 or 5 minutes long, but could have been extended. I really think that this it felt like there was more to come, more build-ups, more big climaxes, and didn't quite get that with Modern Primitives quite as much. Psychohistory I loved, just loved it. It was just a straight up, more of a death metal, just pummeling from the start to finish. And I like the simple approach of Psychohistory, and I just thought it made a change from some of the other more complex symphonic metal combinations that we had earlier in the album. So overall, what do I think of this album? I think despite, as I say, production, absolutely top notch. I thought that the structure of the songs, for the most part, was pretty good. One or two slightly more jagged tracks, like I say, that were perhaps less to my taste, maybe. I really liked a lot of the sort of the main themes of this album as well, and like I say, perhaps just another slight area of criticism for me that perhaps took away a tiny bit of enjoyment away from the overall product of this album was that some of the endings to the tracks did feel that bit rushed and hurried, and we could have had so much more from them as well. But overall, I think this is a very, very good album. Like I say, you know, I'd love to see this live. Actually, I think the true atmosphere of this album and cinematic quality of this album would be experienced live. And I'm sure they probably do more things with this album as well as a live event. I'm giving this a 7.5 out of 10. Very, very good. Well worth you checking out. But for me, it could have been just even better than that. So thanks very much for joining me as always. Do drop in the comments what you think of this album and all the like and subscribe and all that business as well. But just want to add before I close the video, like I sometimes do with my reviews of the upcoming content we've got on the channel, just the next couple of videos I'm just going to talk about tomorrow, 8 p.m. local time in the UK. I'm going to be doing my top 20 albums of 2017. So join me there for that. And share your own lists from 2017 if you like, or what your favourite album was from that year. Be interested to hear what yours would be. Also, possibly Sunday. I'm not quite certain whether I'm going to put this up on Sunday or just early into next week. But I'm going to be sharing my 10 disturbing or scary moments from movies I've watched kind of over the years. And that's going to be a slightly more light-hearted kind of video. So join me for that as well if that's interesting. If you like your horror films in particular. That might be one you want to stop by and watch. Otherwise, from me, take care. Bye for now.